My next guest doesn't need any introduction. It's Fearne Cotton, who is the founder of Happy Place. Ever since I was on her Happy Place podcast, there was so much that we wanted to talk about that we didn't have time for. So I thought it would be lovely if she could join us. I know I want to understand how on earth she took that Happy Place festival and took it online in a matter of weeks. I also would love to know the transition between one career and another, becoming a presenter at such a young age to now being a founder and a female entrepreneur. And there's a question that me and her keep mulling over that we would love to bring to the community and understand if you can help us in tackling something that we're passionate about. I know that this is going to be absolutely blinking brilliant. It's so lovely to see you.
Oh, and you. Lovely always to see you and to speak to you.
Well, 4 months now we've been in lockdown. Can you even believe? It's like 110 days.
No, I can't believe it. Like me and my husband were saying yesterday, how are we in July? You know, the year doesn't feel like it started, and
I know.
we're in July, and it's, you know, because we haven't really been able to mark the year as we normally would and go, this is when this happens, or this is when school's out, or whatever. It's just weird. It's like one long day and we're still in it.
Well, it's one long day, but you've managed to pack in quite a lot into your one long day. I mean, we've been exchanging a few text messages back and forth because, you know, you've been mummy, you've been businesswoman, you've tried to be Fearne, you've tried to be, no doubt, a good wife. You know, this time, this pressure that has been put on us all, especially women who are working, you know, how have you navigated it? Have you won at it, or do you still feel like you're
No. No. Like everybody else, I've found it ridiculously overwhelming at times. At other times, simply wonderful and you know, really just unusual and explorative and expansive, and I'm learning lots and having new thoughts. But the stuff you listed just there, I have found overwhelming. You know, I think any people out there, anybody who finds themselves with multiple roles in life, whether that be due to family, work, commitments, responsibilities, it's been a really heightened experience. And yes, I have found moments like everybody very challenging. You know, I've been like you, working throughout, and the kids are in the same house because they're not at school, and I'm going to work in my stepson's bedroom, so I can't walk out the door like, bye everyone. You know, they're trying to get in, or they're shouting, or I can hear them going mad at my husband downstairs. So yeah, like everybody, I've found it a real conundrum, and one that I've definitely not won and I'm still figuring out. But you know, I can't sit here and say there haven't been some pluses. And I think the majority of people have, you know, found that working from home really reduces stress in a lot of ways. And also it's enabled them to do things with their work they would have never dared to before. And also, you know, the time that I've had with my kids, because they're not at school, has been, you know, really tough, but also really incredible at times. And we've done lots of really simple, lovely things. So yeah, it's just been bonkers.
It's really interesting you say that. I was reading an article this morning, and it said 9 out of 10 people, when asked if they would like to continue working from home, have said that they would. And what this article was sort of bringing out was we need to be a bit careful, because actually that's fantastic, but I almost feel like we're coming to the point where now we're starting to see not only the benefits that we sort of saw. I think everyone rushed home, didn't they? Everyone rushed to be at home. Oh my gosh, I don't have to do the commute. I don't have to do this. But that idea of being by yourself, you know, I certainly found it. I popped into the office, Holly and Co have shut the offices, and I popped into the office and colleagues were there and we worked. We found it amazing, because you forget that being with people is so, so important. Have you been out in your work, or has it been more isolated at home?
Not much. I mean, the festival was certainly all conducted via Zoom and just, you know, using our phones and computers and iPads and stuff. We've had a couple of Happy Place board meetings on Zoom, which, you know, you get stuff done, but it's not the same as being in a room and bouncing ideas off each other And just, you know, the simple necessity of having other people's energies there, whether you're into that sort of thing or not, it's real. You know, everybody has energy, and it's all, you know, there when you're with each other, and you're just disconnected when you're on your phone or computer. So I have missed elements. I did 2 days work outside of the house last month for a completely different project, and I was filming at Abbey Road Studios. And it was so weird being with loads of humans. I mean, everyone had masks on, all the crew who were filming. But it was just odd, and sort of meeting new people, because I haven't met anybody new in months. And normally I meet new people constantly.
All the time, yeah.
Work I do. So that was really lovely. So yeah, again, I think there've been some really wonderful, inventive ways of communicating and still getting to work with other people, but then there is still that missing link of just being with people that you really like, respect, or inspired by. There's nothing like being with that person in the room. So as much as we can use technology to cut out commuter stress and not have to live near a big town or city, because I'm sure loads of people will have seen that that's not a necessity anymore, I still think it is nice here and there, maybe not every day, but to sit and check in with the people that inspire you, and that you either feed off or you feed them ideas and inspiration. So yeah, I think again there's pros and cons with that one.
And I think, I don't know if you agree, I think it's going to do amazing things for women at work, because I think the sort of notion of working from home and this sort of bad rap it got, and now actually, you know, the men have all had to work from home, all the CEOs have had to work from home, and they've had to make money, and actually they've realized, oh my gosh, actually, yeah, that does have. So I think that's going to be a major benefit that's going to come out of this, which is maybe we meet in the middle. Do you know what I mean? So maybe it's actually going to be not just everyone working from home, but sort of that mixture where actually, as long as the job's done, I don't mind where you work. Women, you can, you know, if you need to do the school run, and conversely, if men need to do the school run, they can. But here's a base at work, and here you can work from home, like a sort of a nice mix. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that I'm sure that many companies out there, or bosses who hire teams, will be thinking about offering that flexibility, because I've certainly seen from talking to a lot of my friends and also teammates on Happy Place that there has been huge benefits. You know, some of my team aren't based in London at all. Some are up north, and for them to commute down even for a couple of days a week can be really stressful, because they've got kids and they're trying to juggle home life. So I think for mums or dads that do want to be, you know, kind of able to do the school run or go take the kid to the swimming lesson or ballet, whatever, it does offer up flexibility, because you're cutting out perhaps, you know, at times hours of commuting.
Hours, yeah.
And you're able to do the same workload. And I think there was a lot of judgment around that before, as you
totally
hinted on there. You know, people would think, "Oh, it's all right for you working from home," or because, you know, I previously worked from home probably 50-50, because I write a lot. So most of my sort of writing time is in this room, in my stepson's room, which I inhabit quite a lot, much to, I'm sure, his disgust. And I leave my junk everywhere, my books, but it's a really peaceful room, so I like the vibe up here. But I write in here a lot, and a lot of the prep for the podcasts I obviously do at home, and we used to go about, you know, and meet people face to face for the episodes, but now it's all over Zoom for the time being, which again, there's been great pluses, because I've been able to connect with people in the States, whereas that would never have happened previously, or people from all around the world. So yeah, I think that companies and bosses should be, and hopefully will be, thinking to give men and women the chance to do that. And, you know, I've got a lot of friends who, well, my school friends who are still my great mates, who've all got kids, and some haven't worked, some are part-time, some are full-time, and, you know, one's an air hostess. They all do very different things. But I think the option to work at home would offer up just so many more options to them that they didn't even think were possible previously. So I think there's been some definitely sort of game-changing experience learned from what we've just been through.
Yeah. I think things won't really be the same, and I just hope I'm so interested to see what happens. Tell me about your creativity, because I interviewed Alex Monroe, an amazing jeweler who has found this time to be highly creative. Asma Khan from Darjeeling Kitchens, she said to me that it's been the first time as a founder, and that made me so emotional. I think I cried so many times talking to her. But she basically said for the first time as a founder, she has found this period, because she's been forced to stop, she's almost rediscovered herself. And then I spoke to Sahar Hashimi, who founded Coffee Republic, who said she's found this time a nightmare for her creativity. You know, what's it been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've had this discussion with a lot of friends, because a lot of my friends do creative jobs, and it differs massively. The extremes are huge. Some people just feel too overwhelmed to think straight, and others have really sort of channeled that into something. I think I'm quite lucky in the fact that being creative comes quite easily to me, because I don't know what life without creativity looks like, and I haven't since I was a tiny child. This isn't about projects of gravitas or whatever. This is about simple everyday creation. That could be baking a cake, that could be doing a doodle, that could be, you know, making something with my kids. It's such a huge part of who I am that I've had very few periods where that's gone. I think when I've been very low, it's definitely been diluted, but actually it's sort of within me all the time. So even if I think I felt overwhelmed, I would still be able to do something or think creatively, because I'm not academic. I can't think in a linear, mechanical, scientific way. I'm all about creation. So during this process, I have done quite a lot of stuff. I have written a new book purely in the lockdown period. I had an idea.
Oh God!
I know.
How have you done that?
I don't know, but I so loved it. I had this idea just before lockdown. It was inspired by something that had happened to me in my personal life, which it will be revealed in the book. It's too obvious to then say, because you'll get what the book's about. But something happened, and it just sparked this huge creative light bulb, just went ping. So I boshed out this book quicker than I've ever written, and I'm really happy with it. And I filed it a couple of weeks ago. We're doing final checks. The cover's done. It's ready to go. I'm so excited. So that's been wonderful.
Oh, that's that normal thing. Just that normal. That's just that little thing. How have you found lockdown?
I know, but I
wrote a book from start to finish.
I know, but the problem with me is, if you live with me, this is a nightmare, because I am a really high energy fidget. And it's to my detriment. I don't know how to relax at all. I find it, I know you find it difficult as well. I find it almost excruciating, because I know it would benefit me greatly to have periods of rest or just letting myself slob out a bit. But I just find it really difficult. And as soon as I try to relax, I mean, it's good in a way, it opens up space, but I get so many new ideas and things going on in my head, and I'm quite an urgent person. I can't think, oh, I'll do that maybe next year. You know, by the time I've had the idea, I've already started contacting people, Googling things, you know. I can't, I'm sort of unstoppable in that sense, but my energy it's too big, and it feels like it's bursting out of me at times. And it, you know, the detrimental side is I suffer with insomnia here and there, and I can get very irritable, quite angry about things. That's a real emotion for me that comes up, because I'm so desperate to make things happen and to do things and to move forward. But I think I get a lot of that fire, if I don't channel it properly, could go down the wrong road. So it's sort of the best kind of thing in my life, and the drive, but it can also be massively detrimental. And I burn out all the time. You know, I have moments where I'm ringing my team, I can't do this, I can't cope, and it's like, wait a minute, I actioned all these ideas. Why am I shouting at them?
I was going to say, they're like, oh yeah, well, if you could actually stop working, then maybe we could. You know, the thing is, I was just saying before you started that and I've told you this as well, that, you know, I totally believe that the future of brands will be when founders put themselves at the forefront. You know, I think back to Jamie Oliver, for instance. You know, this was so long ago, but where actually that person is at the forefront, is vulnerable, and then builds a business behind them doing good. And, you know, what I'm so fascinated and proud of you, and just I'm your biggest fan, is that you've taken this transition from, you know, being the face that we know, a celebrity on our TVs, etc., etc. But what you just described there is a complete entrepreneur's DNA. I mean, you know, it is, you are an entrepreneur. I mean, you used all that fuel in a different way in your other chapters of your life.
Yeah.
But like almost moving forward, what you describe is, you know, you'll do that till the day you die. You know, I always laugh that I'm going to be actually critiquing my coffin and building a coffin company as I'm doing it. Do you know what I mean? And almost going, listen, you've not switched up this industry in so long. You know, it's that thing. But what you describe is such a, I call it founder-titis. It's that thing that you just can't stop. Do you feel you're an entrepreneur? Do you call yourself an entrepreneur?
I don't feel like I have the right to at the moment. You know, this is why I love talking to you. And as I've said before, you know, you've really become, whether you like it or not, I'm very much a mentor, because I'm learning as I go, and it's all very accidental. So I think, you know, down the line, I might see it like that. But I think I'm still finding my feet with all of it. And, you know, like you say, I've had these completely different chapters where, you know, for 20 odd years, I was a presenter and a broadcaster, and that's what I did. There was no other side to it at all. And I don't think I necessarily felt comfortable in that role all of the time. Sometimes I felt, you know, I had huge imposter syndrome. I didn't believe that I was up to the job some of the time. Even though I knew I could do it, I think I still had that self-doubt, and I certainly didn't feel creatively fulfilled, because there was nothing to do with me. I would present, you know, whatever anybody else threw my way work-wise, as long as it roughly aligned to what I liked doing. I had to do the job. I was a jobbing presenter. I was never contracted to anyone. I was just working where I could. So I was definitely missing something, and I guess it took me to have this huge sort of personal crisis of feeling extremely low and broken to drop all of it, which was terrifying, and move into this new area that I'm in now. But I didn't kind of go, right, that's me done with presenting. Now I'm going to go into, you know, creating a brand or a business. God, no. I thought, God, am I ever going to work again? You know, what happens now? I've got kids. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. And I think I just started talking honestly. I mean, that's all I do now, is I just talk about stuff, and I hopefully ignite or am part of interesting conversations that are helpful or drive some positive change. And, you know, and the team that I work with now, who are just amazing, we can now be a little bit more focused with that, because you know, we've seen that actually people need lots of help or good conversation or interesting education or insight into different topics in many different ways. So we're able to think about it more creatively, in a more distilled and focused way. But that's very new. You know, the first couple of years, we were just winging it and going, right, should we call what I'm doing something? Yes, this seems right. Let's call it Happy Place. And then it turns into a podcast. And, you know, it was really accidental. But the energy that you're talking about, yes, I feel like I know, and it's really hard as a Brit to big yourself up in any way, but I do know quite confidently that I'm very good at multi-skilling. I can do lots of things at the same time, because my brain doesn't stop. It's just whirring constantly. And then I'll be forcing ideas on my husband. Why don't you try doing this? And he's like, back off. I'm not you. You know, I can't stop.
Oh, yeah. Been there, done that.
Having ideas for everyone, you know, and listen to this. And they're like, I don't want to. Okay. But for me, I just feel like I want to maximize everything or expand as much as I can in every way, you know, emotionally, in a business sense, in a way of learning. I just want to keep expanding and seeing where it takes me, and not to get, you know, I think before it was all about expanding to be the biggest I could be, to be famous and to be on the biggest show. And God, I could give a toss about that now. I want to expand in a sense of, I want to get better. I want to learn more. I want to help more. I want to have more interesting conversations. I want to bring more interesting people into what I do. That to me is expansion. So there's two very different kinds, I think. And I'm exploring one now that is founded in much more sort of substance and, for me, a better outcome.
And, you know, Fearne, what you're saying as well is such a female brain. You know, many entrepreneurs I speak to, one just literally today, just this age of what consumers are looking for, what people are looking for, is all these female traits. You know, people are calling it the age of the female entrepreneur. And that's not just to say you have to be a female. It really, really helps if you are one. But also the fact that men and the way people are thinking in their businesses, it's about what we do well, multitasking, communicating, where 90% of every single disposable income is spent by women. So we're the CEOs of our households as well. So it's an incredible moment for women to be able to use these skills. And what you're saying, I totally resonate with. Tell me though, you've done something that I haven't seen anyone else do. And I can only imagine when they got the call where they're thinking, okay, so we're going to have to put off the Happy Festival, you know, Fearne, we're going to have to put it, and you're like, no, we're going to do it virtually. And the whole team goes, oh gosh, here she goes again. Tell us about that, because you did a month-long content every single day. How on earth did you pull that off?
I don't know. It was mad. So, you know, obviously as the pandemic got more and more serious, there was obviously that switching point where we kind of thought, oh, well, that's not on our part of the planet. And then it was like, oh wow, okay, things are going to change very drastically here. And we all had to get on board with it very quickly. Everybody from, you know, parents at home, single parents, businesses, schools, everybody was like, what does this mean? So we had this, you know, tiny problem of, oh, well, that's a shame. We booked our venues for the festival. What are we going to do now? And, you know, I felt a little bit nervous about leaving it a whole year because we've only done one. And I wanted to keep the momentum of what we'd already sort of built. So we kind of sat on it for about a week. And then I actually didn't come up with the idea. I can't take credit whatsoever. I just felt a bit like, oh, well, you know, I'll get some, you know, there was other stuff going on in my world. And I thought, I've got perspective over this. It's okay. And then some of my team members were like, look, you know, we could look into the digital space. So I just thought, what? How is this going to happen? And we just kept talking about it every day until we felt, I guess, brave enough to go, let's just do it. Because there was no safety net. There was no, oh, we've already got these people on board. We had to green light it and then full steam ahead in 6 weeks, turn this festival around. And so we were nervous to say, let's, you know, green light it, because we knew it meant we were all going to have to work so hard during this weird time. A lot of my team have kids and it was really terrifying. And we didn't know if it was going to work. So we might do all the work and then it fall flat on its face. So I think, you know, the other thing about Happy Place is it is about trying new things. And also, if things go wrong, saying we tried, you know, because we're not trying to be perfect. We're just giving stuff a go and we're learning as we go. So we felt like we could always be honest, even if it didn't turn out well. But luckily it did. And we worked really hard and we had a bunch of the contributors who were booked for the live events said they would take part. So we had a really nice pool of people agree after we'd green lighted it and gone, let's do it. So then it was just about, you know, find the right people to help us make it work. And it was a very small team. You know, we had a web team do the website design, but then out of my team, there was only about, I'd say 6 of us that worked on it. And we just had to keep talking every day and, you know, filming the interviews from my end and getting those edited correctly and making sure the contributors were okay and they were happy and everyone was, you know, going off and respectively filming their content. So making sure that there was some sort of cohesion, you know, overall. So It was tricky, and I could not have done it without the people I work with. My God, they were incredible. But it happened, and I'm really glad. And I sort of can't believe that the month is over, because it felt at one point like I was going to be just doing that festival for every day of my life forever. But we did it, and you know, people engaged with it, and you know, it was so wonderful knowing that, say 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, people all over the world were tuning into a meditation session we had going on, or trying a new workshop. That felt really exciting, that we'd managed to have some sort of community throughout a time where we can't really be with the people that we want to be. So yeah, I'm chuffed that we gave it a go.
High five to you. Frigging hell. I mean, I actually can't believe you pulled it off, because it's you know, it's so interesting. I bet you learned so much doing it as well, and you know, it's the skills I think that we've all learned, because we've been forced to do almost the impossible, haven't we? We've been forced to do these things that if someone had said to you, next year, Fearne, it's all going to be all of this is going to be online.
No way. I mean, even just conducting meetings online, I would have thought, what, not go in and see the team at all, or have any meetings about anything, because I usually take meetings, you know, every week I'm in town, you know, talking about different projects we're working on, and I just didn't, it just seemed like that was too much, that was too simple. What, just be on my laptop from home doing that? It was ridiculous. But we've managed to kind of keep up a level of communication that has allowed us to try something really new, feel a bit vulnerable in doing so, but supporting each other through that, because everyone kind of said, look, you know, if things don't go well or whatever, we've all got each other's back, and that's really important. So, you know, I think the teamwork element, I feel very lucky that I've sort of got that, and it did give us the opportunity to just try something new, and allow teachers to still teach. You know, the practitioners and the teachers that we had who hadn't really been able to teach fitness, yoga in a class setting were still able to reach people. And yeah, it felt nice to bring lots of like-minded people together to try something new. And also the other lovely bit is, of course, you know, at the Happy Place Festival, usually, you know, of course there are going to be people that turn up like me who aren't good in crowds. You know, I am an anxious human. I don't like being in a massive crowd particularly. I need to go and have a second to myself every now and then. And I'm sure there were many people last year that felt slightly overwhelmed. And I spoke to loads of people at the festival, and some, you know, hadn't been to anything like that for a long time because of that. And also in your everyday life, you might not feel like going to a yoga class or a fitness class is for you because you've never done it, and it would be embarrassing or nerve-wracking or intimidating to walk into that setting. So I think the classes that we offered allowed people to try those things at home, to get a flavour of them first, to see, oh, maybe I will try this down the line. And although the festival's finished, all the classes and talks are still available. You just need to go to youtube.com/Fearne Cotton, and then once you click and subscribe through to that channel, then all of the classes and videos will just live there. So you know,
that's brilliant.
and arts and crafts and talks and all sorts to experience there.
It's so brilliant. I've got lots, I mean, you can only imagine how many comments and questions. I'm going to just read out a few, and then I'd love to chat to you about this thing that we keep talking about. Anna Mather, who I spoke to, she was my first ever live, just saying that. Two of my favourite managed to coordinate a bath and 3 kids in the house. So I'm popping you up to keep me company. Thank you, Anna. We've also got Binks Design. Congrats on the Happy Place Festival, Fearne. It was gorgeous and I loved it. You're such a huge inspiration to me. I've got Quirky Chairs. The juggle struggle is real. Sophie Cunliffe jeweler agrees. It's been a whirlwind and the juggle for sure. I mean, there needs to be there needs to be these memes, doesn't it? Or whatever you do on stories with just women juggling. That just needs to be a thing now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Frank and Fox Eco Clothing Company. Think of the positive impact people working from home is going to have on the planet.
Yes. I mean, this is such a huge one. Me and my husband were talking about this last night. You know, there's a lot of noise at the moment and there's a lot of fear around And what I think we're forgetting massively, or the conversation has certainly dissipated somewhat during the pandemic, is, oh my God, the planet. You know, we know it's in dire need of help and attention that we're not giving it still. And simple moments like that, to that lovely person who just mentioned it on the comments there, yes, without that commute daily, that is going to cut down so much pollution in cities, towns, well, in rural areas, everywhere. And there are huge benefits like that. You know, we've all seen it, even just during, you know, the last few months, with there being less cars on the road. It's quieter. You can hear the birds, more simple stuff, but simple things that we should be paying attention to. And hopefully it's opened our eyes to that a lot more. And it's something I definitely want to explore further with Happy Place, and what we can do to ensure that we're doing our absolute best to be mindful of that all the time, because we all have that responsibility, no matter what we do, if we work or don't. It's, you know, it's a huge part of our children's lives, and you know, going, you know, with our grandchildren, great grandchildren, we've got to think about this really seriously. So yeah, I think that's a really good point. The lack of commuting is going to be a big plus for this poor planet.
This poor planet. And I've got Trisha, makeup artist. A fidget and fire is brilliant, Fearne. Your deep honesty is so gorgeous. Flowers, Rach. Holly, you are amazing. Fearne, you are inspiring. I found during these times the time to be more creative with journaling and starting to draw. Creativity is beautiful. It sure is. I've got a couple of questions, actually. Department Store for the Mind has asked, I'd love to know how to get my products featured at the next Happy Place Festival. What do I do, and what are you looking for?
We're looking for anything that aligns with, you know, what our ethos is, which is, you know, about helping other people, being mindful of the planet, giving people something that's going to help them and benefit them in life. That's all. You can get in touch with my team. I can't give email addresses out here, so perhaps me and Holly will work out something and we can post something.
I know this person, so we'll and I definitely think perfect for. She's called the Department Store for the Mind. I mean, it's the most brilliant company.
It sounds amazing. I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, I do. And now I've got a young entrepreneur who I know, who I try and mentor, but she's so talented, Molly the Happy Rainbow. And her question is, what do you like to do with your children that makes you happy?
Oh, Molly, that's such a lovely question. Well, this weird year has given me many opportunities to do some seriously lovely things. And one of the biggest parts of lockdown for me, Rex and Honey, has been finding newts in a little local stream. And there were about 2 months we went every day. The newts have gone now. I don't know if it's like newt season is over. I'm no David Attenborough, but we were going there every day and checking on these little newts and watching them grow and swim. And I mean, it was magical. And we would never have had the time to do that because it would have been at school. We went every day. And it was so wonderful. And I think, you know, now the newts have gone, we found other activities. But Honey has learned to ride a bike in the last month. So we're going on family bike rides, and I actually saw your son, Harry, the other day when I was
know.
My son on the bikes. He probably thought, I'm such a nerd. I have like this bright orange helmet. I ride a bike that's covered in Day of the Dead skulls. And I'm like, Harry, in front of his group of cool mates. He's probably like, oh my God, please shut up. Who are you? So I sort of regretted that. I cycled away like, oh God, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, cycling has been a big part of it. I don't do anything fancy with my kids whatsoever. It's about bike riding, finding newts. My son is obsessed with nature, so we just let him embrace that, get covered in mud, you know, walk in the stream with his shoes on, whatever he wants to do. And that for me, they've been my happiest times during lockdown, without a doubt.
They're going to be beautiful memories. Now, Fearne, you and I, when we get together, you know, and we chat about lots of things, and you know, I feel like it's one of those things that we could just sort of slightly talk all day. But one of the things that you and I keep coming back to when we do talk is, and I mentioned it on your lovely podcast. Thank you again for inviting me on. Just Happy Place podcast. And this topic came up, which is basically where we are concerned about, and this is audience, everyone listening, Fearne and I would love to hear your opinions on this, but also what a solution could be that Fearne and I could potentially team up and do something about, but we don't know what the solution is that we're worried about our specifically young women out there, sort of the teenage land-ish, and where we're seeing that there is a dominance of the importance on how they look and how many likes that they have, and the sort of aspect of social media bringing out potentially what Fearne and I have also spoken about, which is, you know, when we're young, we all are in discovery. You know, I used to wear black bra under my white school shirt, you know, all these things, but we feel that social media and what is out there, so other celebrities, other brands, have done something where certainly the teenagers I follow, girl teenagers I follow, there doesn't seem to be any of them in it. It is purely their vehicle that they live in. There is nothing about their soul, what they want to be, who they admire, all the creativity. And, you know, Fearne and I have been chatting about this, and I'll let Fearne speak now, but we wondered what we could do to meaningfully change this for girls. How can we inspire them to understand that they're more than this, and that they've got this most unbelievable adventure ahead of them, but not to worry so much about self? What do you think, Fearne?
It is a huge one. You know, I've got a stepdaughter and a daughter, and a stepson and a son. But as you say, this is dominant in a much more sort of teenage girl skewed way because of aesthetically what we're seeing. And, you know, like you rightfully pointed out there that, you know, being a teenager, of course, is a time for expression, experimenting, figuring out how you feel about being a woman, and that often for females will be in the way that you dress, or you know, makeup or whatever. And we're not saying there's anything wrong with that. My God, you know, I've been through every phase and trend or whatever, and it can be really fun. But I think when it's the only thing that is highlighted, this isn't for all teenagers. There are some super smart, you know, engaged teenagers who know exactly where they're headed and what they want to do, way more so than I was, or, you know, even more so than I am now, because I can still be deeply insecure about really shallow aspects of being, you know, a modern day mum and, you know, working or whatever. So I think, you know, it's a responsibility for all of us who have kids or are carers or have kids that we look out for, to ensure that they understand that you can still dress up and look however you want to look, but that isn't going to equal happiness, completion, this perfection that's at the end of the rainbow. It's an empty promise. It's an empty thing. There's no substance to it. And as I said, you know, I've got mascara and eyeliner on today. I like wearing makeup. I like wearing, you know, clothes that make me feel good. But I know what it's going to deliver, and it's not my end goal. Yeah. And I've definitely learned over the years that the things that feel substantial, nurturing, expansive, and
purposeful,
purposeful, and keep me deeply rooted, lie in creativity. Learning is a huge part of it, and doing things that I'm deeply passionate about. And I think that there is not enough emphasis on that. And then when we see perhaps the younger generation that do go down that route, you know, they can be vilified or called out, like Greta Thunberg, for instance. You know, it's such a shame, because she is deeply passionate about what she's talking about, and she is changing, you know, the way we think so massively at such a young age. She shouldn't be getting any hassle from anybody, in my eyes, at all. And she's a brilliant role model for people. So, and there are loads of other brilliant role models out there. Malala is just this brilliant human being who's, again, game changing. But there is a much bigger side over here that is about young women looking a certain way. The aesthetic changes through the decades, but at the moment it does seem to be sort of quite a lot of flesh on show and quite a lot of pouting and quite a lot of cheekbone action or whatever. It's this aesthetic that is just, it seems quite unrealistic. And for me, you know, if you are looking purely at beauty or feeling good about your physical self, you know, celebrate who you are. You know, what makes you feel good? Is it dyeing your hair purple? Is it shaving it all off? Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It's about what makes you feel great, rather than adhering to an aesthetic that is pre-existing, because it's going to get likes, or I don't know what the weird algorithm equation is on that one, that these pictures get loads of likes. Because I know if I post a picture of one of my cats or something I've written in a notebook, it will get a couple of likes here and there. But if I was to post a picture of me in a really slinky dress with my hair blow dry, up against a wall, giving it the, you know, I would get a lot of likes. And that is peculiar, but can border on dangerous for the minds of the young people, engaging in that sort of expression online. And I think to know that what your capabilities are, your strengths are, where your passion lies, that is where you're going to feel fired up, grounded, and have true self-worth, I think is what I'm headed towards. So look, it's a deeply complex one, and I'm sure to some controversial, but I do feel like you passionate about it, wanting young people to know that they can find happiness and self-worth in their passion and in their capabilities, rather than it being anything to do with what they look like.
We're having so many comments coming in, and I'm capturing everyone's thoughts, because Fearne and I are really asking out there, what would it be that we could do to help? Because, as you know, as Fearne's saying, this, you know, the bottom, the pout, the flesh, it's sexualized. And God, I feel like I'm my mother or something. You know, I'm not actually saying it's wrong. And God, they're gorgeous, and everyone is gorgeous. And I'm not, you know, we're not saying that. And I've been there, done it, all these things, but we didn't have social media in those days. Yeah. And unfortunately, with everyone glued to their screens, unfortunately, you're seeing what you think you should be. If you're glued to your screen 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day, and you're repetitively seeing the same image, well, that's almost like, that's a crazy amount of advertising that's going into these young minds and warping. Because if I go onto their feeds, sometimes what's happening is all I see is the same type of image over and over and over and over again. Yes. There doesn't seem to be anything else that they feel is worthy to put out there. And, you know, if we talk about what is missing there, is it in their education? Is it something that we could do with schools? Is it something that we could build a club for girls to sort of understand amazing women that you have just spoken about? But, you know, I interview these incredible female entrepreneurs who've literally changed the world. And that brings them success. It brings money. It brings an adventure. It brings, as you said, self-worth. And that is ultimately, if, you know, what we know to be true is what is happiness. You know, that is the sort of thing of happiness, being truly in love with what you can do for yourself, for your family, for the world, and that you feel confident in it is what you should be going for, and not for a bum 5 times the size of what you have, God has given you.
Yeah, I think, you know, that's it. You have, you know, you celebrate your however you are, and you find great ways to do that. And I think, you know, one of the problems is with the modern world is that, because, you know, there are great things about social media, obviously, and I've used it and you've used it, and many people have, in a way to connect and engage and having interesting conversations or debates. But what it's also done, because we are presented with what look like ideals of perfection or whatever, it then makes all of us subconsciously really, really critical and really judgmental of other people, and in a really, you know, shallow way at times. And, you know, we've seen it over the years with, say, magazines, more so in the 90s, where, you know, people were kind of photographed and then cellulite circled or whatever ridiculous thing.
Yes.
And it's sort of being exasperated now on social media because, you know, I'll post a picture of myself with no makeup on, or when I've just been for a run. I could care less. But, you know, of course, you've always got to get a few people who go, God, you look rough, or, oh, you look this, or, oh, look at your, you know, sweaty face, or, God, look at your big nose, whatever. I mean, it doesn't touch the sides. I could care less, as I've said. But it has made us feel like we have the right to comment on what people look like. And again, this is coming from me, from a very deeply passionate place, because I was a teenager that didn't feel good in my skin, and I had eating disorders all through my 20s, which totally, you know, floored me. And it was a coping mechanism for not feeling like I fit into the industry I was in. And I look back at that version of myself and think, God, I wish I'd known that I was enough as I was, just as I was absolutely fine and enough. And that's the messaging. You know, I've got no problem with, if teenagers want to post pictures of their bums, fine. But please know that there's other stuff out there that will really, really make you happy, and that will really, really give you passion and purpose and a drive, rather than striving to look a certain way, maybe never quite getting to that place that you want to get to with your looks, and feeling disappointed, and then shame comes into play. Yes. Terrible emotion we've all dealt with. Guilt because you feel like you haven't done enough to look a certain way. We don't need to be carrying that around, and teenagers certainly don't. So this is coming from a place where I really want to, like you, find solutions, or at least new ways of talking about this subject matter, to help young people know that they can, you know. And also, as I said to you earlier, Holly, like, I don't think it stops at teenagers. You know, I think there are loads of people out there, men and women, that feel still like they don't fit into this aesthetic, you know, norm, or there's no norm, we all know that, but this aesthetic model that gets touted about quite a lot. And I think, you know, a lot of people feel in pain because of that, and feel mentally really feel an unrest because of it. And I think, you know, for me over the years, and I guess one of the reasons why I do a lot less TV and those sorts of things is because I don't really want to be judged by what I look like, or for that to be a deal. I just want to talk. I just like talking, and I really like having interesting conversations. And that's my jam now. That's what I want to do. That's what makes me feel good. And it's just still on the sidelines for, you know, how social media works, and in general the media a lot of the time. And I just think the more we can encourage everybody to feel like, you know, everybody's got a purpose, everybody's got a drive, everybody's got a passion. If we could all focus on that more. And also, let's not forget real simple things like just kindness. You know, can you demonstrate your kindness on social media? Is that possible? Can you demonstrate your most beautiful emotional qualities? Are you a really compassionate person? Are you, you know, are you just a real level-headed thinker? And can you offer the world something with that? They're qualities that I'm interested in. They're real qualities that are going to give you a really interesting life. So I just think it's such a big conversation. It's really loaded, and it's really
you know what, you know, we've started it here, and what I love is that we've just done this in front of everybody. Everyone is appreciating it. I've got these messages coming in. We've got positive Alden, I think you two should do a Dragon's Den for female founders. Oh my God, I'd be a bit scared about that. Frolicking food, valid without validation. You can have that. Oh, valid without validation, hashtag. You can have that. Poppies, clunks. We need a young female founders club. My daughter would love it, and I'll help. Truly me, Lee, I think the biggest thing is that is they have to live and feel it for themselves. Speaking from experience, I've only just got into a place in my life at the age of 36 where I realised this.
Yeah, same. I mean, I didn't work this out in my teens. Oh, God, no. I worked it out about, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And that's why I'm wanting to have this conversation now, because I feel really passionate about it, because I've realised there are really good benefits.
It's sorry, positivity. I knew it was you, but it was typed incorrectly. The thing is what people are saying here is, I think we know everyone's got to go on their own adventure. The problem is with mental health the way it is, with these worrying statistics, with teenagers spending more time glued to their screen, I actually feel that potentially they just need something to interrupt that broadcast of certain thing with something else. Modo Creative has said, boys need help here too. Mine can't post anything uncool on Instagram. Only moody selfies allowed. Hands and Hearts Company, a female mentorship in schools with all your amazing network of strong women would be amazing. Legal Boutique, build them up with education to be confident, strong and comfortable in their own beautiful skins. And we've got so many Magpie Designs, saving time and money whilst increasing productivity. The Bosch Boys have said to say hello to you.
Oh, hey.
Molly the Happy Rainbow, thank you for reading my question, Holly, and thank you, Fearne, for answering it.
Pleasure, Molly. Total pleasure.
Carlene's Jose, that's the thing with Zoom. From a business side of things, it can be super efficient, but you miss that extra magic by getting to physically be in front of people and in their presence. And a final comment, Bev Turbit, we definitely need a new work-life balance. I think it's the most positive thing we can take from all of this awful situation.
Yeah.
Fearne, I don't know. Yeah. I'm going to collate all the answers. The whole community has gone really nuts on this one, and they've been sending lots and lots, and the team are collating everyone's thoughts. Maybe you and I should then go and have a cup of tea and maybe chat about what that could be. But I think that from what I'm seeing is people are definitely needing it, want it.
Yeah, I think, once again, I think, the place that you and I are both coming from, I certainly am, is it's all about elevating each other. It's all about kindness and connection and letting people know there are loads of options. There isn't just one. And this isn't about bashing anybody or saying that you can't do something or that something's wrong. It's all about allowing... offering up other options, like I just said, and discussing these subjects so that we can all make our own decisions about what makes us feel good, feel ready to get up in the morning and get, ready for the day and excited. And that isn't going to be, looking a certain way every day. That is depressing. If you are only getting up to go, oh my God, I must look a certain way today, that's going to make me feel happy. That is a vapid, empty road to nowhere. So it's about trying to move focus from that, which we know is heavily out there, to elevate lots of interesting voices, to have this conversation, to work out ways to really empower each other, and especially young people. The newer generations coming up with new ideas and new ways to help this planet and help us all. And for them to know that that's their space, they can absolutely do that, and they have the intelligence and the power to do so. And it doesn't have to be just you wanting to look like a certain person you've seen on Instagram, or live a life, this fantasy sort of Instagram life that doesn't exist. Find your happiness and your grounding in what you love, and that's going to be different to your best mate, your sister, your auntie, your next door neighbor. It's got to be your thing. It's a conversation that we'll definitely keep having, and God knows what the solution is right now, and we'll just keep talking. And also, it's been really interesting hearing the comments, and I'm sure you've got loads more that we can talk about.
Yeah, well, I've got lots and lots. Big discussion. I can't wait. Now, listen, I'm going to have to leave you because Instagram Live, they kick us off. That's the thing. So we've got 2 minutes, and I've got to let you go, and then I've got to go. I want to sum you up and say lovely things about you. So Send you so many
How do
kisses.
I leave? How do I leave?
Oh, I think I'm going to press X. Let's see if this works.
Okay.
Thank you, Fearne. Speak to you soon. Lots of love. Bye. Amazing, Fearne there. My gosh, we've got so much to talk about. You know, the thing is, for me, the three things I would say that's come out of that is the importance of simple, everyday creativity. You know, if you follow Fearne, what I love is that it was newts, wasn't it? That was what she did with her child during this lockdown. Would she have been able to do this outside of lockdown? Not at all. And so I think it is a wonderful thing that she does. She crystallizes the simplicity of things. She is on there on Instagram with no makeup. She is there saying the truth. And that is something that, again, I feel that the female founders, the entrepreneurs of the future, they will be vulnerable to the group who follows them. And together, that's how you can start to change things. Founder Titus, I just mentioned to her that she's got that ailment. It's a good ailment to have. She can't stop. She wakes up. She's always, you know, she wakes up. She's got something to do. She feels urgent. I love the way she described herself. She's very self-aware. Are we all as self-aware as Fearne is about herself? Because she already knows that she's very urgent. She knows that she's in a hurry to do things. And I thought that was really, really refreshing. She's brilliant at multitasking. You know, the things that she mentioned is what are the qualities of female founders. You know, we are innately very good at things. We are the CEOs of our household. We are the people who are normally the customers of our own businesses that we create. So then we always are almost one step ahead of our own business. We have this multitasking quality, we have communication, we have empathy. When you think about emotional commerce, which is really what the marketing of the future will be, it is wonderful if you are a woman. And then finally, that Fearne and myself are going to very seriously, I've got 1 minute 30 seconds, thank you Instagram, we're going to very seriously take all your comments that you have kindly shared with us about girls specifically and boys, but we're going to concentrate on the female kind and really helping them see that they are enough and who they are today. What do they dream about? How do they want to forge ahead that's creatively fueled or that is empowered, rather than feeling that they have to conform to potentially what they're seeing for hours and hours a day, a perfect cookie cutter version of someone that is mystical and completely and utterly unattainable. And it's very bad for mental health. And Fearne and I are watching this as two female founders wanting to really empower that next generation. So if you have any ideas what we can call it, what we can do, DM me. I'm collating it for Fearne and myself, so DM me, send it on comments. You've got my email, hello@holly.co, and let us know what we can do, because we're very passionate about doing something. We're not going to be able to solve it all, but we're passionate about doing something. As ever, I love these moments with you. Thank you, Del, so much for allowing me to bring this to you and to talk to Fearne. Thank you, Fearne, so much for giving us so much of your time. To all of you who have joined in, it's just been absolutely fantastic. And I'm sending you, as ever, all my love. And yeah, what a joy.